Day 10, naked, trying to pull his own testicles off, inserting things up his back passage, refusing any medication, covered in excrement, rubbing it in his eyes, his ears, been like that for about 3 days.
What was your impression of the first time you go into the prison, your first day?
The first time I did go in, terrifying. Walking down Main Street, there were lots of prisoners about. At that time, I didn't know where they were going. Straight up in your face. One lad straight up in my face. You know, who do you think you are? Put a few expletives in there, just challenging you straight away. You know, you didn't know where to put your face, you didn't know where to look. Yeah, I'm a big lad, worked on the doors or whatever, but, you know, totally out of my comfort zone. It was terrifying, to say the least.
What was the time you were most scared?
Forest Bank, I remember 2 lads I had an altercation with. I was on with a very young new officer. In the morning, these 2 lads had wanted to go in the same cell together. And I said they could, however, one of them, it maybe asked me 40 times that day and he'd become abusive. So I said, no, it's not happening now. You know, he'd overstepped the mark. That's all it was. Evening duty, we just unlocked, we were serving meals. I just, you know, I was literally stood, turned my back, he threw the towel around, starts choking me out. I don't know, if you've never been choked out, it is a terrifying experience. Any of you that watch fighting, UFC, when people are in chokes, inevitably, you know, the vast majority tap out. Your body goes into panic mode. The other lad was punching, kicking me. I shouted at the new officer to press the alarm bell. She went to the end of the wing, let herself off the wing, left the gates open, and handed her keys in. She was gone, she never came back. The lad who was trying to kick and punch me, you know, it wasn't really a concern to me. It was the fact that I was getting choked out. 2 of the cleaners, Den and Ben, bless them, came over. One of the cleaners pressed the alarm bell, and the 2 cleaners sorted these 2 lads out, as it were. So if it hadn't been for them, I would have got a good kick in.
So the cleaners, they're actual prisoners?
Prisoners who were employed, both at Forest Bank and Strangeways, usually tough lads, you know, who get on with the jail. You know, polite, helpful, but tough lads.
Some of the people you're going to see in a day have murdered another person. Is that a strange thing to go through?
To be honest, when I first started, you don't know what anyone's in for. You don't necessarily look what people are in for. So I started on the young offenders, which was 18 to 21-year-olds. Very violent community. It wasn't till probably 6 months in that I did a escort to a hospital in Liverpool, and it was a 4-officer escort, which is unusual. That usually most hospital escorts will be 2 or 3. So this guy was obviously a risk, and I had a look on the computer to see what he was in for. He had broke into a pensioners' home, some guy in his 80s, and this is a lad who's 18, 19. He'd robbed him, he'd killed him, and then he had visited the premises for several weeks, committing sexual acts on this guy that he'd killed. So post-mortem. That lad wasn't on that wing very long. He went to the gym one day. Someone found out what he'd done. I remember the lad. And he hit him with a dumbbell in the face. He went to hospital, and I never saw him again. So, but that was the first time I'd ever looked at what anyone was in for, and, you know, obviously that's quite shocking. So,
is it hard not to resent prisoners who've been there for violent crimes?
A lot of it is how people present and how they are with you. We had lots of violent prisoners, child killers on the healthcare, sadly, who You know, we're not problematic. We never clashed. You know, because someone was a child killer, I didn't take a personal dislike to him. A lot of people say, how could you work with people like that? Well, if you're doing the job, you know, I chose to go and work on the healthcare, and they're sort of people who you're going to be working with. But quite often it's how they present. So if someone just gets on with it, gets on with the jail, you know, is polite with the nursing staff. You know, people call me what they like, but people who are rude and abusive to the nursing staff, I wouldn't tolerate that.
Was there ever a prisoner who creeped you out, who got under your skin?
Yeah, there was. Who, well, I hated really, I disliked that. Mark Bridger when I worked on the healthcare. Come from a little village in Wales. Took April Jones, bless her, and killed her and did unmentionable things to her. I've tried to explain before, you know, other prison officers have said to me, you've got too close or whatever. Well, when I worked on the healthcare and he was on there, yeah, he's a high-profile prisoner. I was sat at home in Waterton, Manchester. The missus said, will this guy be coming to you? He was on telly. He'd been made Cat A prisoner, so he's gone to strange ways. I knew nature of his offence would be on the healthcare, and when I got there, he was there. Working every day with somebody like that, seeing how they behaved, try and manipulate people and staff. A lot of them, it's all about them. You know the offence because it's high profile. Very difficult to deal with. I definitely hated that guy.
You said that there were the incidents that stuck with you most in your career happened in this mental health wing.
Yeah.
What were those incidents?
We had a lad, talked about this guy a lot. He, probably in his 40s, been to prison 3 or 4 times. So he came into prison, he was medicated, came to the healthcare, he was well known to us, and at times had been incredibly unwell. The psychiatrist was looking at his medication, and he told him that he'd been on it too long and he was going to change it. He told him the combination the psychiatrist wanted to put him on didn't work for him, and if he tried to do that, he would stop taking his meds. So the psychiatrist changed his meds. He stopped taking his meds. So day one, yeah, he had a scruffy leather jacket he always used to wear. We had a game of pool. He said he was going to stop taking his meds. You could have a conversation with this guy. You know, he was educated. He was a nice lad, a pleasant lad to talk to. Day 10, naked, trying to pull his own testicles off, inserting things up his back passage, refusing any medication, covered in excrement, rubbing it in his eyes, his ears, been like that for about 3 days. Desperate, I would say, desperate, and, you know, it was just, it's not pleasant. He went to hospital, I think, day 11 on an emergency section. So, yeah, 10 days from functioning adult, chatty, playing pool, to naked and harming himself. How can you not, if you've got any humanity, be affected by that, seeing somebody like that?
Do you think that events like that have had a long-term impact on you?
Probably on the mental health side, working on healthcare at strange ways, and, you know, there was quite a few people who were mentally unwell at Forest Bank, seeing people at the lowest, unmedicated, that's probably had the biggest impact, you know, because you see things normal people don't see sometimes in a car crash moment, and they're the sort of things that haunt me, if you like.
How have incidents like that impacted your mental health?
I left Forest Bank in 2004, so, you know, it's like 17 years ago, but it's like it was yesterday. I was angry with the prison service. I weren't treated well when I was on the sick. Procedures weren't followed. I put myself through 5 months of psychology with Salford Mental Health Services, who were amazing. The psychologist I saw, having nightmares, brain not shutting down. My doctor was super supportive, tried me on various meds, which did not suit me at all. Things come into med regular now, they don't affect me as much. I'm a lot calmer. If I don't sleep at night, like last night, because I was coming down London, driving down London, you know, I got up, I know, oh, I'm tired, I'm quite relaxed and calm or whatever, but it definitely impacts. Lots of my friends have left. I've seen officers, good officers who've been in the job a long time. One incident finished a career. In case you're thinking, ask it. No, I don't regret anything I've ever done. I wouldn't change anything. I'd do everything that I have done exactly the same. It's just part of my life experience, as it were. We don't rehabilitate people in prison, yeah? We're not giving them the tools, the care, or anything like that. All we're good at doing is keeping them locked up. When does an ex-con become an ex-con? And that's when he chooses to.
As from 2 days ago, it's 118, so 118 babies that have been born, and I presently have 14 ladies pregnant at the moment.